Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So, welcome to our April 21st, 2022 episode of the Butterfly Effect Talk Show. Today, we are discussing all about the top 5 love languages. I'm Felicia, and
I'm Della.
I'm Colleen.
we are live every third Thursday of every month. We also have a Facebook group. So please join us and send us a note, and we will welcome you in our group. We're also on YouTube, so if you like us, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our talks. Drop a heart and comment or question anytime it crosses your mind, and give us your feedback. We want to get better at this, and we are here to empower you, uplift you, and make you feel connected and invincible in this storm called life. So, ladies, we choose a topic that's very interesting this month. And if you ask me, I think this is very, very important. What do you think it's important, this topic, Colleen?
Well, you know what? There are so many different versions, like summaries and videos on YouTube about this particular subject because it really speaks to people. It helps people have better relationships, not only with their significant others, but with their children, with their coworkers. It applies everywhere. What do you think, Della?
Well, I think being able to speak each other's love language, it's like speaking each other's language. I mean, if I'm speaking Italian and you don't know a word of what I'm saying, really the communication really gets a little foggy. But if I can understand you and if you can understand me, we're a little more successful. I think it's the same thing with expressing love and receiving love. If we can speak one another's language, then it gets much easier, I think.
Absolutely.
Yes, and working on this, I realized that our lives are rooted in relationships with one another.
Mhm.
And in order to build long lasting relationships, be that of romantic nature or just simply a friendship, we must understand, as you said, Della, our or each other's love language, but it starts with ourselves. I realized that I wasn't even aware of my own love
Mhm.
language before I worked on this. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah. So,
So
what's your, yes?
I just think it's worth with that it just for copyright and all that we should mention that this is a book based on a book written by Gary Chapman. It was
Mhm.
I think originally published in 1992 and there's been multiple republishings and different versions published. So there's like 8 different versions out
Yeah.
there.
Oh, what a
And
fun
50
fun book.
languages.
Yeah.
I've learned it's actually translated in 50 languages.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
really? I
impressive.
didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yes, I know it's been translated in Farsi, and it's really interesting because I mean it's stuff that we deal with every day, on a constant basis in every single relationship in our lives. And when people hear it for the first time, they're like, "Oh, that makes so much sense."
Right.
Right? I
Yes.
know Colleen and I did the test together one day, and I was like, I was flabbergasted. I was so ashamed of the way I had been asking to have love expressed to me. Because I had no clue. And it's like what you said, Felicia. It's like knowing your own language first, and then really finding out what the loved your loved ones, the people you love the most, the ones that you want to have that connection with, what language do they speak, so that you can speak to them in that language is so
Yeah.
important. That
Well,
Gary
but
Chapman, he was
it's
smart.
very important to understand how you show your love and why, and
Yeah.
how you want to receive that love or give that love, or how the others around you are desiring the same. We all have the same needs. It's just expressing them makes a difference in the way we express them. I think that's
Yeah. And
it's
one of the things with the love languages also is even as important, if not more important, is it also helps you understand how your how what you do or what you say actually can hurt the people around you, right? Like if their love language is words of affirmation, if you were to criticize them or to put them down in any way, it hurts that person significantly more than the person whose main love language is physical touch. So being aware of not only how to uplift the people around you, but how the way that you react can actually hurt them, allows you the opportunity to minimize your negative effects on
Mhm,
people. So
mhm.
I think that's equally as
Well,
important.
I mean, the three of us have we know about this book and we know about the five languages. Let's assume that people don't know what they are, right?
Right?
So let's
Yes.
start there, so that so let's start there. Tell people what the five languages are.
So yeah, so I'm sure that not a lot of people don't know actually. It was interesting that I've done my little one's love language this afternoon, and I
Mhm.
shared it with her father, and he goes like, "What's that?" So yeah, there are many out there that don't. So let's recap them. So we have words of affirmation,
Mhm.
we have physical touch, we have gifts. What else is there?
Acts of service.
Acts of service,
And the last one is quality time.
and quality time. So, who wants to start? Bella, why don't you start?
Well, I did the test, like the two of you. So for our viewers, we got together, we prepared for this talk, and we did the test together. And for me, acts of service was number one. So my love language is acts of service. And it's funny how, like, I know that Colleen and I did this test last year and it was different for me. So the results may be changing. And that's not surprising because we change as a person, right? So um, for me, acts of service was number one this time. Not too different from words of affirmation, but still number one. So acts of service is like um uh, using action to tell me you love me. So that's my love language. So don't just tell me, show me, right? So it's like doing little things for me. You don't have to spend money, um or a lot of time, but just gestures, right? So I mean, a great example today, I mean, I've been showered with love all day. It's my
What?
50th.
Why might that be, my darling?
So it's my 50th birthday, and it's just been an amazing day. I've been blessed with so much love from everybody all around me. But my family did so many little things for me. My mom woke up at like 5 a.m. this morning and baked me a birthday cake, I mean, that's something that just touches me deep in my heart. It's not about doing extravagant things. It's about showing me that you care, by doing little things. And so doing things together, doing chores together, like taking my dog for a walk, and my husband offering to go with me. That's an act of service for me. And I mean, that also touches quality time, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does.
I know. That's kind of killing two birds with one stone, which you can't go wrong, right? More brownies for you, Sean. That's all I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, in my research, I discovered that the person whose primary love language is acts of service
Mhm.
tends to be the person that is always doing things for other people. They're super busy, they've got a full schedule. Does that sound like you?
Hmm. But you know me. You both know me really well. I think so. I think so. I think so. Yes, because and again, it goes to show you that just knowing my own love language doesn't really do it. I have to know the other person's love language, because as I'm feeling, well, I'm doing this for you, that must tell you that I love you so much. But to them it's like, right, because acts of service is not really their primary love language. So that's really, really important when we do something for someone and we have certain expectations. For, like, I'm talking for me, so my love language is acts of service, but that doesn't mean that your love language is act of service. So I can't expect you to understand how much I love you if your love language is words of affirmation and you don't hear that from me. Does that make sense?
It sure does. It's
Okay.
funny. There was one of the videos I watched on the subject. This lady was telling a story about how her husband's love language was acts of service and hers was words of affirmation. And so he got up one morning and spent 4 hours doing the lawn, manicuring everything, making it beautiful. And the whole time he's thinking, oh, she's going to know how much I love her. I'm doing all these lovely things for her. And then she had gotten all dolled up and was, ready to go out and do whatever she was going to do, and he walked in, and she's words of affirmation, so she's hoping for, oh my goodness, she looks so beautiful, right? And he is expecting her to be so thrilled that he spent 4 hours doing the lawn for her, and they just, neither one of them was fulfilled because she just was upset, like,
Yes.
well, aren't you going to tell me I look pretty?
Yeah. Yes. Oh
Yeah.
yes. Oh my god. Can you imagine just by knowing this little bit? Can you
Yeah.
see how many marriages we are saving right now? I hope you appreciate us, people.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, actually, Della, it's interesting because last year I've done the test for the first time, and I don't remember what was first, but it wasn't acts of service, and this year it was acts of service too.
See
So,
how it changes? It
so,
does. Yeah, we change as people. So who's
Della,
next? Yeah. Oh yes, you have more
for
questions.
acts of service,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that will hurt you?
Well,
What are the do not do if you know that my love language is acts of
right, right. So because it's so important to me to see those little gestures. For example, if you say to me um, that you're gonna
do
I don't know,
something.
do something for me, right? Do whatever. You're going to run an errand for me, or you are going to meet me for coffee, for example, or you are going to text me at certain day, certain time. When you break your commitment to me, then that will hurt me.
So
Um,
the word, keeping the
yes, keeping
promises.
your word for sure is something to
Important.
reinforce that you love me. So that's and I have actually, I have a few things that I picked up from a website Colleen sent us, and I don't know what website that was. So you forgive me, Colleen. It was the last website you sent us, and I thought that was really cool. So there are 5 things that if I read them to you, and if you connect with them, you're a person whose love language is um, acts of service. Is it okay if I read them?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So, number 1 is if you feel taken care of when your partner supports you and helps ease your responsibilities when they do little chores or tasks for you. Domestic bliss unlocked. That's with the
Check.
partner. Number 2, it means a lot when someone follows through on something, especially if they were paying attention and stepped in to help. When they do this, you trust your partner to pay attention to the little details. Number 3, you think talk is cheap. Action means everything. You need someone to come through and to know you can rely on them. Show, not tell. Number 4, you love when your partner steps in to do little things for you to make your life easier. Number 5, if you're feeling stressed or tired, it would be nice if your partner saw it as an opportunity to step up and alleviate your burden by taking something off your plate that's easy for them to do. That small act helps you feel taken care of. So these
Awesome.
are just 5 examples.
Yay. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for sharing, Della. What
My
about you, Pauline? What's your primary, or what do you want
So
to talk about today?
I'm just looking down at my primary one was words of affirmation, which I know that you're going to touch on later,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mine was yeah.
So And then acts of service was my second one. And then I can talk about, so the quality time one. Now, yeah. So quality time is about having the undivided attention of the person that you care about. So one of the things with quality time is that you actually set aside time for you to be one-on-one with that person, where there are no interruptions, there's no cell phones, there's no, noise. It's just the two of you spending quality time together, and where you have good eye contact, where you're so that person is really, really relying on spending time with you. So the absolute worst thing you can do for somebody whose primary love language is quality time is to set aside that time and then cancel on them, because they hear that as a direct message that you don't care about them. So another thing with quality time, like with your kids, is showing up to their events. Like if they play basketball or if they're in dance or whatever it might be, the fact that you are there to support them means everything to them.
Mm.
So that's quality time. Any questions?
No, I like it so far. No question.
So the other one that I was going to talk about, and I'm just going to was gifts. And a lot of people have this aversion. Well, I'm not a materialistic person, so I'm not big on the gifts. The gifts actually has nothing to do with the cost. It has to do with thinking about the person when they're not with you. And that's what gifts signify for them, is that I was on your mind when we weren't together.
Oh,
Yeah, we misinterpret this idea of gifts. Actually,
Yeah.
we misinterpret with like, oh my gosh, you didn't spend $5,000 on that gift. I don't
Yeah.
want it. That's not it. It's the thought that goes behind.
So
yeah.
so it's not the dollar value, it is the thought that counts. Like, that old expression, it's the thought that counts. With the person
Yeah.
whose love language is gifts, it is absolutely, it's the thought that counts. So
Mhm.
one of the things that you want to do with the gifts is, if their love language is gifts and they're trying to give you a gift, like they want to pay for dinner, or they want to, whatever it might be, they're handing you something like a rose or something, whatever it might be. The absolute worst thing you can do is flat out reject it.
Mhm. Or
Because
undermine it. Oh my
right.
God.
Or yes, or yeah. So because
So
what
how do
that
you reject that? Like, what do you mean? Because I don't know many people that will reject a gift. Like a gift, it's a gift, right?
well, no. So you know how some friends will go out for dinner and one of them will say, you know what, guys, I'm going to pay for everybody. I'm so happy that we've spent this time
Mm.
together. And then there's going to be at least one person that goes, no, 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 no. I don't want to impose.
Oh, okay. I hear you now.
Right.
Um,
The person that made that offer, if their love language is gifts, they hear that as that you don't accept their love.
oh my gosh. This
Wow.
is interesting because so I'm from Persian culture, and Persian people are famous for, oh my gosh, for wanting to pay for for each other. And oh my gosh, and I mean, you'll see them, you'll notice them at like restaurants and stuff, and they'll be fighting over who's gonna pay, kind of like Italians do, I guess. Now I'm generalizing, but I'm saying that's really interesting how, where how does that come in. Now I'm going to look at this differently, because I'm going to look at it and think, okay, well, that's their love language.
Yeah.
It's gifts, right?
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's really cool, you guys.
And also when somebody is their love language is gifts, it doesn't have to be big things. If the more thoughtful gift, even if it's a free item, like if you give them, a napkin that you guys used on your first date, you know what I mean? You wrote you wrote a little message to each other, or that's how they gave you their phone number. That handing that to them, showing that you still have that, means the world to the gift person.
Mm.
because it's sentimental. The gift people are the people that have those box of keepsakes
Mm. Yes.
because they put value on those little things that have sentimental value.
Mm. That's
No.
so cool. That's so
Isn't
cool.
it?
So how do we do you know how do we know if we're our love language is gifts?
Well, because if somebody were to give you, regardless of the value, the monetary value of something, if somebody were to give you a gift,
Mhm.
that it makes you feel loved. It makes you feel like, oh, I am special. And the
Yes.
funny thing is that all three of us, this was our last one. And I think that's why we have a hard time kind of relating to it, because this is not something that is high on our list. But I do know some friends that, even like I recently sent out some Easter cards, and there's a few people that replied back when they got them, and they said, oh my gosh. And I realized when I look back at my relationship with them that they're the type of person that likes to give you a little gift all the time. You know what I mean? Like, we get together and it's not a big thing, but it's just, hey, I was thinking of you. And the
Wow.
funny thing is one of those people sent me a message this morning that said, here's a link. It was something like, it wasn't a monetary thing. It was, here's a link. It made me think of you.
Aw.
And that person, obviously, gifts is one of her love
Yeah.
languages, one of her primaries.
Yes. So
So
I
yeah,
can think of a few people in my life who, are constantly giving gifts and dropping off gifts and sending cards and just like really doing that on a regular basis. So
yeah,
I now know who they are, and I now know that's their primary love language. So that if I'm trying to express my love to them, that is probably the best way to show it is
yeah.
to give them a gift. This is so cool. So
Yeah,
cool.
these are the people that the thinking of you messages, like the little note that says I was thinking of you, that means the world to them.
Yes. What was your other one, Colleen?
So quality time and
Uh-huh.
gifts.
Yes. 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 I like quality time too. I mean, just because one person scores highly on one of these languages doesn't mean we don't speak them all. I think it's just to different degrees, right? So
Yes, I
that's
think they interconnect. Because
yeah.
as you guys are talking, I'm thinking, okay, even though gifts was on the list, on my list, the least on my list, I still, I think I still appreciate when the gift is given. Like, it doesn't mean that I'm expecting a gift and that's my love language because it was the last, but I think they intermingle together. But there is value in understanding the top priority. So the
Yeah.
top two or top three, let's say, right? So I
So
Yes.
think
Felicia,
that,
So
you
what
had a
about
couple
you?
that you prepared as well,
Yeah.
right?
so for me it was acts of service, as which I didn't know, but I looked at words of affirmation. And what are words of affirmation really? You may ask. So they are, the words that you
What
use to
are words
express.
of affirmation?
Can I say it, or do you want to say it?
Well, I wanted to ask.
Okay. Oh, okay. What's the question again?
What are words of affirmation?
Okay, so words of affirmation, let me explain it, okay? Are words that express and communicate your love, your appreciation, and your respect to one another. You know that saying, actions speak louder than words?
Mhm.
Well, guess what? For a person that their love language is words of affirmation,
The other way around.
it's
Yeah.
the other way around,
Yes. Yes.
because um, words mean a lot more than the actions. However, if you ask me, really, they are really linked, because if you say something yet your actions don't match your words, those words lose their power completely in the blink of an eye, right? Like, anyway, so it has been researched that those whose primary love language is words of affirmation are often extremely sensitive people who are very aware of their surroundings. So those are the people that most often than not are the encouragers, are the empaths who just know what to say to make others feel better. And what's interesting, which I wasn't aware of, is that they are also hoping that they can do the same, they can receive the same thing back. So
Well, yeah, I don't think that's unique to this one. I think all of them.
I was going to say that
Yeah.
what's interesting is that those, people that go out of their way to make a comment or be, in your case, what you were saying, Colleen, with the gifts, some little note, I'm thinking of you, I got this, I went there and look what I found and I think you're going to like it. It's kind of a sign or a subtle sign that this is kind of the things I like, just keep that in the back of the mind. So it's also known, believe it or not, that there are benefits in any relationship by simply using words of affirmation. Such as, Della, for you, this is for you. I'm so happy to be with you. You are very special to me. Your support means a lot to me.
Why
I'm
is that for me?
proud of you. You are such an inspiration. I'm saying that because you ask what are words of affirmations. Those are the words of affirmation. So
Yes.
offering words of affirmation can help nurture emotional intimacy, which plays a crucial role in relationships, and also increases the self-worth and the motivation for the person that needs to receive those words of affirmation. So what can you do, right? There are two things. You either do, what can I do to help someone that needs this love language to be enhanced? And what should I not do, right? So let's start with what can you do? So little things. You can compliment them for start. And
I think you look beautiful today, Felicia.
thank you.
I especially love that crown.
Thank you. Thank you, Della. Another way.
And I think you're doing a fantastic job. By the way.
Thank you.
Isn't she though?
Absolutely. I agree.
Isn't she lovely?
Thank you.
Oh,
okay,
you just explained something to me out there.
Compliments are welcome. Thank you very much. I've learned how to appreciate them lately.
Mm-hmm.
Another way is leaving little notes, telling them how you feel about them, that you love them. They will never be tired of hearing you say I love you.
Oh my God, that used to be me. Like, totally. I've changed.
And I have to say this because they are so self-sensitive, right? If you're not honest with them, they will sense it. And they will feel like if you're trying so hard, but you don't really mean it, right? Like
it has to be genuine.
And that would be counterproductive and will hurt them more. Okay. Yeah. And it's very important to point out their strengths because they need to know that you actually value who they are, not just what they do. Okay. So if you really want to hurt someone whose love language is words of affirmation, say some hurtful words to them and you for sure send them to the other side, and be overly critical or condescending. That will for sure, you'll make sure that they feel stupid, okay? Because that's how they take it. They don't take it well when you are overcritical. And if you are sarcastic, if you tease them intensely, like it's okay to make fun, but if it's too intense, remember those are sensitive people. So
all right, so I am a words of affirmation person, and you are speaking my language.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Oh my God, everything that you're saying, I'm like, yeah. When somebody criticizes me, it's like a knife to the heart. It's like you are not good enough. You know what I mean? If it's but it was funny because when you started singing earlier, Miss Della, it made me think. You know what? My dream man is gonna serenade me. And he doesn't have to be a good singer, but if he's singing, like if he's serenading me, it makes me feel special. Like that is like it's everything that you just said, Felicia, is like I resonated with almost every single thing you just said.
So can I interject here? So if someone's primary love language is words of affirmation, and like they're speaking and you cut them off. What does that tell them?
What do you mean?
So like you interrupt them constantly, right? There's as they're speaking and you interrupt them constantly. And because the reason why I bring this up is because I was this sensitive person. I think I'm changing, and that's the reason why this is so funny to me that it all meshes together. Words of affirmation was my primary language, and I was that person who needed to hear words of affirmation, and I was that person who needed to constantly be reminded of how wonderful I was, right? So like but I'm changing. And I no longer am that sensitive as I used to be, and maybe that's why my love language has changed. It's just really interesting because as Colleen knows, I she knows this about me. My pet peeves used to be you cut me off, you telling me I'm not worth it,
Mm.
right? And so that I mean, obviously Colleen helped me a lot through this, by the way. She's a great coach for anyone who's looking for someone to work through your stuff. So like Colleen helped me through this, right? This whole idea of like, why does it bother me so much when people cut me off? When people interrupt me, I get hurt. And so that doesn't bother me anymore. But I just thought I'd bring this up. I just think it's really interesting how I've changed.
I
Well,
think, yeah, go ahead, Felicia.
I think the withhold of words will be a punishment for those people because words mean the world to them.
Mm,
So either they speaking it or others speaking back at them. It's their way of expressing love and the way of them feeling worth it, feeling love, being cared for. So it doesn't matter which way it is. If you stop or you cut them off, right, or you stop or you withhold words from expressing your appreciation, your love, whatever it is that you're trying to express about what they've done or what they are to you. That's a huge form of punishment for them. They will
mhm.
it's just it's pretty much a stab in the heart.
Makes sense, right? It
It's all
makes
about words. Words are very powerful for these
yeah.
people, right? They just need words.
Yeah, speaking of words of affirmation, is here's someone who speaks your language, Colleen. Hi, Auntie Colleen. You look beautiful as always. Missing you, heart, heart.
So, guys, I want to talk about physical touch because this will excite everybody. Learning about this, I went in with misconceptions about what does it mean. Almost feeling embarrassed. Physical touch is one of my language. Oh my God. Because my mind went somewhere else.
Yes,
So,
of
and
course.
And honestly, I think most people do. They think,
Yes,
oh, it's all about sex, and
yes.
it is so the opposite of that.
darn it, Colleen, I was waiting to build it up. You
Oh,
said the word,
okay.
you blew it.
Words of affirmation.
So physical touch is it's what does it mean really? What does it mean to have this as your love language? So what it really means is to prefer, or it means that you prefer expressing and receiving affection through touch or through physical closeness and many other forms of physical connection like kissing, hugging, holding hands. And yes, Colleen, and yes, there are sex too, but not only. So people somehow are going towards the moment they think about physical closeness or physical intimacy, it's absolutely sex and nothing else. And there is so much more to it.
Yes.
But of course, sex is part of it.
Hmm.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, the fact that the love languages apply to all relationships is just demonstrates that it's not just sex, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, for intimate relationships like romantic relationships, it could be a part of it, but um, if you're talking about your kids and whatever, there's other forms of the connection, that physical connection that apply.
Well, yeah, physical intimacy plays an incredible, powerful role for emotional connection. And not only for those whose primary love language is physical touch. Because you said it, Colin, when you have a baby, some babies will cry until you actually hold them, kiss
Mhm.
them, touch them. They have to feel you. right? So when you hug or touch, or you sometimes being it doesn't matter what you are. It's like, oh, I wanna kind of feel you, so let me put my hand under the table and feel your knee or your lower back or something, right? Those are people that need um, more touch than any other, so they kind of tell you. So but do you know that there is a research done, and it says that touch releases the bonding hormone, the oxytocin, I think it's called.
I'm not surprised.
Yep, that is
and
accurate.
and we are all of us, regardless of what your love language is, we are all instinctively born with the need to strengthen and connect through touch.
Yes.
So yeah, that was interesting to find out. I didn't know.
So something about touch, and because it can get tricky, right? I mean, because sometimes, and this has happened to me before, where this is way before COVID, and obviously pandemic has changed things. But before COVID, I'm a huggy person. I like to hug people. I just do, and so that gets tricky, because even though that's how I express to you how loving I am, and um, how I love that connection, right? And it might not be easy for you, because everybody has their own. This is my bubble. You don't come into my bubble. Stay out there. And I mean, that's not their language. So it gets a little tricky. So how would you approach that? Not in a obviously not an intimate relationship, but when you meet someone, and or do you ask them, can I give
I
you a
think
hug?
it's extremely important to ask for permission, even to the loved one. And I tell you why, because sometimes even the one that you love, you may feel like you want to hug, and they may be in such a state that they
Hi,
say,
Riley. Hi, Maggie.
who is there? We have a visitor.
Is that Maggie or Riley? Riley. Hi, Riley.
So, Colleen, you have two dogs,
We love dogs.
two big dogs.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, yes. And they're both elderly, so I apologize. He doesn't know that he's not allowed to talk
You
right
don't
now.
need you don't
So
need to
I'll just mute
apologize.
myself while you finish your thought.
You don't need to apologize. They're
It's
love.
all good. So what was I? I was saying about the
The
body
hugging.
asking
Yeah.
for permission, or even asking for hug. Like, can I hug you? Or do you need a hug? Or can I have a hug?
Mhm.
I caught myself so many times saying, do you want a hug? But actually it's me who wanted a hug. I'm like yourself, like I need hugs. Like I go around the house and I always ask my ghosts,
Come here. Let me get a
"Give us
hug.
hug.
Come on. Come
Hug,
on.
hug."
Let me get a hug.
So yeah,
Funny.
so
Do you know those
um,
people that are close talkers?
Yes.
A lot that could be the physical touch person,
Okay.
because they want that close
Yes.
that physical closeness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So I do believe that I speak all of those languages.
Yes.
Those are all my love languages. Um, but so I
so a tricky question.
uh-huh.
What do you think you have to do to show your love for the person who's the top love language is physical touch? It's very tricky.
Is it tricky? So are we talking, like, what are we talking about? A relationship or like a friendship?
Any.
I mean, it could be just as simple as putting your hand on their shoulder, and like, just can you see? Just
Yep.
just a little tap. I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated, right? And you also don't want to get too much into people's bubble, right?
Yeah.
At the same time. So, is that a good answer? What?
I was going to say just give them lots of hugs, kisses, hello, goodbye.
But so, and if you're talking, because I saw that video of that one teacher, and and obviously as a teacher, you can't do some of those intimate forms of physical touch, like even the hugging and the kissing, can seem inappropriate, right? I mean, that's just so, just a pat on the back,
Mm-hmm.
a touch on the shoulder, when you walk by and you just say a hand on the arm, so you're doing a good job.
I also saw a teacher. She was standing by the classroom door, and the kids were lined up trying to come into the class. And
Yes.
she had put three signs on the wall. And number one was a hug. Number two was a fist pump, and number three was just a wave or a high five, air high five, or something like
Yeah,
that.
I've
Yeah, there
seen
was
that
four. You've got
video
all
with
Did
the
you
fours.
see
balloon.
that? It
Yeah,
was
Oh,
so
they had a
cool.
dance one too.
Yes,
She
they
had
had
a
a
yeah,
dance.
dance
the
one
dance.
too. I thought that was the coolest, the best idea ever, right? To have to first of all allow the kids to understand and validate their own language of what they prefer, right? Don't force a kid into giving you a hug just because you're in a superior position. Allow them to pick what they're comfortable with. I mean, we weren't given this kind of choice when we were
No.
kids, and I think it's fantastic what some teachers are doing. I thought that was kudos to that teacher. It was brilliant.
So, what do
So
you think will be like a no-no? Do not do for the one that it's very important to have a physical touch.
that they won't they that someone who's not a physical touch language person, is
No,
that
so
what
if my love language is physical touch,
uh-huh
what shall you not do?
oh,
Or
to that
how,
person?
unless you want to hurt me.
Oh, well, I could reject you for sure, like, right?
Reject physical contact.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, don't
Or,
touch
the cold
me.
shoulder when you like you're
Mhm.
physically, you know what I mean? Like you're physically creating a barrier between
Yes,
you.
yes, absolutely. Yeah,
And another thing for them, what's important, which I didn't know, it's when they are in public. If you find that the partner, and you know that the love language is it's physical touch, if you see them insecure or not in a good state, or even out of the blue, to show them that you care and love, and you always there for them, you just go around and, as you said, Dala, just put the hand on the shoulder,
that's
or
a
go around their waist and hold their back, or
yeah,
just hold their hand.
that's
Yeah.
a
That
that's
means the
a
world to them, because
yeah,
And one of the things I found consistent with all five love languages was that if it's displayed in public, it means more
it means
because
more.
you're announcing it to the world. It's not just for the person that you're with, but you're
Mm.
also announcing to the world, this is my person.
yeah.
Yeah, the
So
worst thing to do is like, don't touch me, I'm mad now, go away. And the other person feels like crushed. I'm done.
Yeah.
yeah. I wonder if our viewers know their love language, or they're intrigued because Colleen has graciously given us a quiz, a link to a quiz. Where is that? Is there any way we can drop it in
Yep.
the
It's
chat?
www.5lovelanguages.com
And then there's the quiz right there.
/quiz. But if you go to the website, the quiz will be
Yeah,
accessible
I
there.
think it's so cool to know your own love language, but also ask the people around you, the people you love the most, to find out what their love languages are. So I wonder if Colleen's niece, who's here right now, she
Is it
knows.
Caitlin?
Is it Caitlin? Caitlin, do you know your love language, your primary love language? And Jack is here. Jack Vincent, ladies, he teaches personality tests, and I'm pretty sure he's familiar with the five love
Yeah.
languages. So I wonder if Jack knows what his love language is, or that of his beautiful wife. He
And
says,
Della,
yes.
I'm butting in because I have a feeling that you're not going to share this, but Jack has made a comment about how beautiful your new hair is.
Thank you. I just thought I'd keep that to myself
I know, that's why I
because
interrupted you. Go
words,
ahead.
words of affirmation didn't make it to my top five or top one. Thank you. No, thank you. I appreciate that. Jack says it is so important to understand the love languages. It takes so little time to learn it, but makes a world of difference. And this is from someone who's been married successfully for a very long time. So he knows a little bit about this. And yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, and I think we've talked about this, but we have a tendency to give love in our, like naturally, in our primary love languages.
Mm.
Yes,
So
of
if you're,
course, because
yeah,
that's what we know. Like, I grew up learning Chinese, so that's what I'm going to speak, right?
yeah. So if
Exactly.
you're curious about what someone's love language is, all you have to do is pay attention to
To
how
what
they
you
show
like.
you love.
Oh, that's really cool, actually. That's really cool.
That's
Right.
interesting, actually.
Yeah. That's and so yeah, so you don't have to ask them to do the test. Just pay attention.
Test is actually it's fascinating to see with all those questions
Yes.
they trigger your mind. And
Yeah.
I remember the first time I've done it last year was like, whoa,
Yeah.
makes a difference. And what it made me realize is that it's not so much how do we show love or no how others love us, but rather how we show love to them
Yeah.
by paying attention, actively listening and paying attention to what they do and what they need. Because often in relationships we tend to be selfish and say, well, you're not meeting my needs. But if we switch that around and say, well, how can I show you that I love you? How can
Yeah.
I then you know
And
Yes.
it's interesting because as a manager, when I used to work, and I'm switching to the work side of this, is that when I became a manager at one of the other managers shared with me a little questionnaire, and it said, how would you as an employee like to be rewarded? And I didn't know it at the time, but all of the choices kind of gave each person the opportunity. Like, do you want to have praise at a meeting in front of everybody? Do you want to have, a little gift of maybe a candy bar or a Tim Hortons card? Or and it was, and now when I look back, I'm like, oh, those were the love languages. And it was learning how your employee or your colleague or whatever it may be, how they receive love, so
Yeah.
that when you give them praise or you want to reward them for being part of the team, is that you can help, that you can make it more meaningful to them by learning their love language. I
Oh,
thought that was
I
amazing.
think that's amazing. It's really how you um, feel appreciated,
Yeah.
right? How can they make you feel appreciated? So this really reminds me of back in the day when I was much younger and I had no clue about um, the love languages and all of this. Actually, I didn't have any clue. I was clueless. Not because I was young. It was just me. No offense to any young people who watch this show, but truly, I had I known what I know about all of this, it would have I would have avoided so much heartache.
Yeah.
I would have avoided so much unnecessary conflict, so much miscommunication, right? So instead of snapping and saying, "You don't love me,"
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. And that was one of the questions I had was, have you ever like gone out of your way thinking this person's going to feel so loved and
Yeah.
appreciated, and then you get to the end and they go, meh,
Yes.
right? And you're heartbroken, but you spoke to them in your love language
Yes.
and not in their love language.
Absolutely. And then you're upset because they don't appreciate anything I
Yeah.
do.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. But they should teach this stuff, don't you think?
That's why we're here.
Yes. But really, truly, I really feel like this stuff needs to be taught like earlier in our education system because people need this. So Jack says, my love language is affirmation and touch.
hmm,
And you can have more than one, just like the personalities. Yes. So yeah, I think when we did all of us when we did the test, we got percentages,
Yeah.
yeah.
and so mine was the highest in acts of service. And what was yours again, Colleen?
Words of affirmation And I think the next one was also acts of service.
Yes.
My first one was acts of service.
And your second one?
And the second one was I don't remember.
Gift.
Oh, physical
Oh,
touch.
physical touch. Oh, yeah, yours was gift. So Jack says he will be married for 37 years
Wow.
this May. Yeah.
Let's
Have
celebrate
they,
that.
I
have
know.
they, let's ask him, have they done the love language?
Oh,
Oh,
he
I'm
did
He
because
sure
he
read
just
it?
shared his. Yeah.
he just said his love language is affirmation and
No, I
touch.
understand about him himself, but I'm wondering between him and his wife.
Oh, that's a very good question. Jack, has Lisa done the test for love languages, or you just know because of the way she shows you love? Because that's a great way of
I'm just curious. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great way. So
The
think
author of the book speaks highly because he was a counselor before he wrote the book.
yes, he
And that's
was
how
he
he
was
came
just
about to understand this.
yeah.
And when he saved a lot of marriages and relationships by
Mhm.
simply referring people to read and pay attention to this
Yeah.
subtle way of love.
Because think about it, it's so uh, really a lot of marriages break down because there's miscommunication. Well, a lot of relationships it doesn't have to be
Misunderstandings
marriages,
and yeah, miscommunication.
friendships, whatever. A lot of families break up because of lack of communication. And so this is just one more tool. I think it's a very powerful tool in building that communication. She's words of affirmation. Save me on gifts. Oh, Jack. That's why you're good with words. Well, he is
So let's
funny.
recap, ladies. So we had words of affirmation.
Uh-huh.
Words mean the world to these people.
Hmm.
Compliment them, make them feel good with a text, with encouraging them, with pointing out what they do and you appreciate in what they do.
Yes.
Um, Tell them that you love them often and always and all the time.
And
Yes.
say
Tell them
thank
that
you.
Oh, yes.
you're
Say
happy
thank
to see
you.
them. Leave them little notes here and there.
Yes.
Remember not to criticize them because they are sensitive,
And
and be
don't
careful with how you
Okay, I
use
take offense to the sensitive. No, I'm kidding.
sensitivity is not necessarily a bad thing, Colleen.
I was just being. It was just. I was supporting your statement. Is
she's
what
trying to be smarty pants.
Don't be overly critical, right? That's basically physical touch. It's
Yeah.
when you hug them, you always are in contact physically, physical intimacy with them, and even verbal. You can share that through words as well. But make sure from time to time you go and seek their hand or give them a hug, and always give them a hug before you go away for the day.
I like that. And touch their hair.
Touch their hair, touch their back.
Women love that. Touch their hair.
Yeah. So then we had
And
active
we have
service.
acts of service. So that means um
Come out of your
actions
way.
speak louder than words. So
and the acts of service person detests laziness
oh, yes.
and
And
yeah,
breaking promises.
And
yes,
breaking promises. Yes. And then we have
Yeah.
quality time.
quality time.
Yeah, and that's so undivided attention. Your undivided attention. Make a commitment. Make a plan to spend time with that person,
Mhm.
and without distractions. And keep your word.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Wasn't
And
there
then,
one more?
and then
Gifts.
the gifts.
Yeah. So, and gifts, it's not about the monetary value, it's about the thought behind the gift. So, it can be absolutely free. It could be a rock that you found on the ground.
Don't miss anniversaries. Don't miss birthdays for these
Yes,
people with the
yes,
gifts.
Don't
that
don't don't
that is a good
don't give me a
one.
rock. Don't
Yeah.
give me a rock.
Well, no, but I'm saying it's a sentimental value. So if it's a
Unless
rock from
unless
the
it's a
beach,
good rock.
if it's a rock from the beach where you got married in Cuba, then it's cool because it has sentimental value.
I suppose.
My point is, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
No, it doesn't. I'm kidding.
But you're absolutely right, Felicia. Don't forget somebody whose gifts you do not want to forget their birthday. You don't want to forget their
Days.
special occasions because
Yeah.
they want to be acknowledged on those special days.
But
Yeah.
would you say that that's only for the ones that appreciate gifts or their love language is gifts? I think I don't know. Most
I was
women
gonna.
I talk to, they want their partner to know to acknowledge the special days in whichever way, but just you know, what do you say? I see you nodding.
No,
Well,
I go
that's
ahead.
all of our languages, right? The 5 languages, we speak them all
Yeah, of
to
course.
different degrees. So I'm
Yes,
saying I love gifts. I love, I love, I
that
love acts of service. I love words of affirmation. I love physical touch, and I love quality time. Like I love all of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, I might change, from today. If I do this test next year or 2 years from now, my primary language might be totally different, and that's okay. I think the thing that matters is to be aware of these changes so that we can communicate better.
yes, absolutely.
And that's all I got to say about that.
And that pretty much wraps up the 5 love languages. I think it's almost yeah, it's
Yes,
almost
we're
our
done
time.
our hour. Jack says forgetting her birthday does not apply to love languages. She will be pissed. And there's a bunch of cussing here. I'm not repeating that, Jack. That's just nasty.
Oh dear. So, Colleen, when is our next show?
May 19th is our next show. That's the third Thursday in May, May 19th.
Nice. Cool. Well, I
And,
had a great time, girls.
Me
me too.
too.
And before we go, let's sing for Della.
Oh, oh,
I,
Right?
I'm,
Del-
I'm not
Colleen,
singing.
Colleen,
You're welcome to sing.
have your dogs come
We're
up.
neighbors. I'll run over and give her a hug. How about that?
I'm not gonna sing alone.
you can sing, Felicia. You can
Okay.
sing. Yes, sing. Felicia.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Della. Happy birthday to you. That's a mwah, love.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you so much.
So,
That's awesome.
this is the butterfly effect, bringing you love.
Hope.
And compassion.
Until next time, everybody.
May
Love you,
19th.
ladies.
Bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.